Hello and welcome into the walkthrough. I am your host, Intern Joe Macheca. It is bye week for South Carolina football, so this week we have a different interview for you. A little bit of a unique one. We have the Associate Athletics Director and Head of the Creative Media Department, Justin King. It's always great to catch up with Justin. He's a friend of the program and all of our Gamecock Central Live programs as well. I just had to have him on, catch up with him, see how he's doing, see how his team's doing, and also kind of get the inside scoop on what it's like to work with Coach Beamer, Dowell, Loggains. So we go over all of that. So it's a really great interview, and we will get to this right after some ads. But first, I want to talk to you guys about our good friends over at Liberty Tax. Taxiety is that uncertain feeling you get right before doing your taxes, but you don't have to go through it alone. Tax team at Liberty Tax in Irmo, Lexington, and Columbia will walk you through the process, clear up any confusion, and guarantee you'll get the biggest possible refund or your money back. It's tax time. If you're in a hurry for your refund, call the tax team at Liberty Tax. Fast, accurate, and guaranteed. On the other hand, if you think you might be owing Uncle Sam, talk to the Liberty Tax team to make sure you're not paying more than you should owe. They'll find every possible deduction for you. Locally owned and operated, staffed by tax professionals from your neighborhood, open 9 to 9 on weekdays and 9 to 5 on Saturdays with multiple service options. Start through the Liberty Tax mobile app or through the desktop portal. Make an appointment or just walk in. Give a call to upload your tax documents, and when you come in, your return will be ready to review and sign. Give them a call at 803-462-5576. Once again, 803-462-5576 for all of your tax needs. And our second sponsor of today's show is a good friend over at Clint.Hammond. You can find him above us in all of our Gamecock Central Live programming. Clint is the man. In need of help with your mortgage, call our good friend Clint Hammond of the Movement Mortgage Network. He's been in the mortgage industry since 2003, which allows him to help everyone from the first-time home buyer to the complicated and complex jumbo buyer. Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance, nothing is more important than a well-thought-out financial strategy that comes with 5-star customer service. He's even helped out our very own Wes Mitchell and former Gamecock quarterback Perry Orth with their mortgages. Give Clint a call. Once again, his number is always above us, 803-771-6933. Once again, 803-771-6933. And now, here's Justin King. Alrighty, welcome back into the walkthrough. I am your host, Intern Joe Macheca, as always, and I am joined by my guest this week, the man that needs no introduction. He puts the creative in creative media. He is the social media king of college football. He and his team have captured the minds of all college football fans with the videos that they make. The one, the only, Justin King. Justin, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. You weren't joking around about that big introduction, man. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I need to get the people ready for the guests. You know, every week I try to give our guests a very big introduction. So it's great to have you on, man. How are you, and how's the department doing?
Oh, yeah, we're doing pretty good. I'm good. The department is doing good. We are rolling. We are changing with the times as things continue to evolve, whether it's through the individual season or whether it's how things are being handled, in the news. I mean, there was breaking news yesterday that the unofficial photo shoots aren't going to be happening anymore, which not too many tears were shed about that, to be honest with you. In the office, we were kind of like, but we're just rolling with the punches and changing as we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to hear. You guys are doing great work. As always, I loved your Sopranos video to start the season. It was a nice touch, chef's kiss. Very, very good start to the year at Media Days that you guys did for that. So my first question for you, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering from your end, you get, up close and personal, you get the real experience with Coach Beamer. What is it like working with a coach that's so energetic and so much about building the culture within the program?
So, I think I've said this before here and there, and I'm going to just echo it and I'll repeat it for forever. Coach Beamer is the best boss I've ever had. And that's really saying something because I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of great bosses. He is tremendous to work with. He is demanding in the best ways, right? He's demanding in ways that helps you bring the best out in yourself. Okay. He's kind, he's understanding, you're never going to outwork him. That's for sure. He creates a very healthy work environment in an environment that isn't always the healthiest. Like there's a lot of places where it's not like this. There's a lot of places where you're never, ever, ever going to hear the head coach say, "Hey, go guys, go be with your families." You're never going to hear anybody say that. There's plenty of places like that, and it's not like that here. And it's just truly a wonderful thing. To get to work up close and with him is something I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can get that sense. I mean, obviously, the stuff that you guys have put together and been able to put out with him, you can tell he's kind of an open book when it comes to ideas that you guys have. Quick follow-up on that. What are some of the crazier ideas, and has he ever said no to an idea necessarily?
No, he's never. We've never hit the point where he said no to an idea, although we filter the ideas through. Like the amount that we bring to him, we try and keep it very realistic. So no, we haven't gotten a no, but at the same time, we're careful with what we bring to him to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't want to, because he's so giving with his time and his effort and his energy, and nobody wants to, and not take advantage isn't the right word. We don't want to like misuse that.
Yep.
Because I mean, like it's I don't understand how he has the energy that he has and the time that he has, honestly. It's like that man operates on, he has 48 hours in a day somehow. Like it doesn't actually make sense. But yeah, it's a really, really fun thing to kind of get to do that and have a coach who will put himself out there and do things that maybe, some others wouldn't understand. And he's the first one. He might not always understand it, like the Soldier Boy thing. I remember I picked him up from the airport and we had that idea. And I mean, there's no way he could have understood what that was, like what we were going for with it. Not really. And yet he was enthusiastic about it. And the biggest thing, he's a really good actor. Like he's actually like legitimately like a good actor. And that's so helpful. He can actually deliver a line and it works. And he it's almost like sometimes we'll give him the script right before we shoot, or we'll explain to him what we're doing right before we shoot. And he still somehow knows like exactly what we're going for. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. You can certainly tell he definitely has the chops for acting. The amount of times that you guys have used him, and he's definitely evolved too as his time at South Carolina has gone on. So a word coach throws out a lot is culture. I wanted to ask, what does culture mean to you, and does it trickle down from the team into your department?
It absolutely does. It absolutely trickles down. To answer that back part of that question first, but if good and bad over the years, things I've seen. When there's problems, it trickles down. Just like when there's good things, it trickles down. And because we are a part of the team here. It's not the football team and the creative team. It's like we're all one thing. We took the team photo yesterday, and my on the so everybody sitting on the benches with all the coaches on, and my team was in it, and. We weren't asked like, hey, do you guys, we didn't have to ask, hey, can we be in it this year? It was just one of those things where it was just assumed that we were. And it's like, okay, wow. And that goes, little things like that actually go a long way for how a person feels. But it's definitely one of those things where it trickles down, and culture to me is not about you always hear, it's not about what's on walls. It's not about it's not about what you say. It's about what you do, right? It's about the way that you treat people. It's about the way some people treat other people, whether they work together closely or whether they don't. It's about giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's what surmises a culture. It is the way that the people within the organization treat each other. If someone's coming into work late that day, for whatever reason, or they're not there at promptly at this point in time, is it going to be, well, why isn't this person here? What's going on with that? Or is it going to be that person must have been working on a project late, so they're probably kicking butt at a project right there and giving them that benefit of the doubt. To me, that's the difference between a good and a tough culture. It's is everybody always comparing each other, comparing themselves to somebody else, and this person did this or this person got this, and that's what you want to avoid, and that's what it doesn't exist around here. This is a culture of support here, and to me, that's. To really answer your question, culture is what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so as I'm alluding to the video you guys made with the Pitt Vipers, and obviously Coach Stoops had some comments about it, and then you guys went back after Kentucky last year, and you found a way to get Coach Beamer the goggles in the locker room. Was that pre-planned?
I didn't find that way. I actually I knew he was going to do that. I didn't have anything to do. He had that. That was him. He was ready for it. He's so he makes my job easy sometimes with some of that stuff, honestly. I can take no credit for that. We actually were going to try and do a little bit more, and then he's like, no, I got this. And then he did the thing that he did. I'm not even sure who started playing the song. I think it was Byron Gerardo at the time played the song, but I don't even think Byron knew it, but I think Byron was just like ready to go with it. It gets to the point where there's like that mutual like kind of understanding like around there. But whenever you're doing things that are making an impact, there's going to be other people who have things to say about it, right? And that's just a part of the thing. It's just a part of the way it all works. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter like what people outside say. It matters how people within the organization are responding to it, because ultimately it's within the organization and that moment that's going to really kind of help the team win. Because I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to help the team win. And people can say like, oh, how is something like that going to help a team win? And it just helps create the kind of culture that is going to be good for the overall program is really kind of the answer to that. But yeah, no, I didn't have those things ready in that way. He had them in his pocket. He was ready to go with it. He knew what he was doing. And I actually can see him because in the video, obviously he didn't have him like on the sideline. He wasn't going to keep him in his pocket on the sideline. But I'm following him in the locker room, and all of a sudden I just like, because I'm always following, and he all of a sudden just like, it was almost like a quick, he got really shifty and then he disappeared for 3 seconds. I was literally like, where did he go? And then he comes back and I was like, oh, there he is. And I didn't think anything of it. And then later I realized, oh, he went to go get the glasses. Okay, that's what he was doing. Yeah. So, but I mean, like ultimately at the end of the day, we are trying to do things, and we are having a good time with what we do, as much as possible, while also trying to make sure that we're working our butts off, both creative team, football team, coaching staff, everything like that. And we're not really worried about what other people have to say. We're not worried about what other people really are doing that much. We're focusing on creating the content that's going to help us tell our story, and we're focusing on creating the content that's going to supply our coaches with the tools they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And it certainly seems like you guys are having the most fun out of anyone in college football. How easy does that make your job? And how much does that help with the creative process?
I mean, so much of what we do is dependent upon like making sure that we are like, we're not just going to think of these fun ideas. If you're bogged down and stressed and all that kind of stuff, some of the ideas, they're just not going to come. So you have to do the work to set yourself up like personally. And that's like, I'm talking about myself, my team, everywhere, the place, like if the place is in shambles on the inside, you're not going to have those pieces like that kind of come out. You're not gonna be able to do that stuff that we do typically mostly in the off season, but like, you're not gonna be able to really have as much of that stuff because it's just not gonna, you can feel it if it's not genuine. You can feel when it feels a little bit forced. So, I mean, it all just kind of plays into each other. Like it all just goes hand in hand to kind of create that culture. And ultimately, I mean, what we want to do is we want to give our fans something that they can be proud of, something that they enjoy, something that they want to share. And leading it to, a team that they can be proud of, like doing what we can to make sure that we help the program get to a point where our fan base is proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that response. I wanted to ask you about Dowell Loggains real quick. He's been in the building for a little bit now. Is he as advertised? Everyone has told us that he's, very personable, very laid back, very fun guy to be around. What are your impressions of him? And have you guys thought of any ideas yet for Dowell? And will he be getting his a shining light from the creative media department anytime soon?
I mean, anytime he's right. It's exactly right. Like the first time I met him, I was like, this is like the easiest person to talk to ever. Like he's just humble, honestly. He's just easy to talk to. Let me put it this way. He walks into our office and not only does he know everybody's name, but he has like almost like he has inside jokes with everybody in my office. Like that kind of a thing. It's like he's putting the time to get to know people and made that effort, which sounds simple, but it's really not when he has so much to do too. You know what I mean? He has so much to do. There's so much work to do. I mean, we've seen a lot of the results of from an offensive standpoint. I mean, I might work here, but I'm still a fan and I still like enjoy watching that stuff. And we've seen it, and we haven't hit anywhere like near what is possible. But with him, I mean, it's like he comes in and it's no surprise to me to walk into my office in the morning and he's in there just cracking up with talking to people, all that kind of stuff, after probably having getting there hours and hours and hours before and sitting in his room studying film. It's not like he's just coming in and goofing around. Like, no, one time I came in here, like it was like 11:30 at night, and just to grab something, a piece of gear. And he was in here working. Like he's in here, like studying film. It's like, oh my goodness. Like, so he understands both aspects of it. He's so easy to be around. He's such a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had Dante on Talking Tuesdays, and we were joking about how he used Vibin in the press conference and how that was chef's kiss, and how that really, summed up how Dowell's kind of, ingrained himself in the college ball again, and certainly seems to be enjoying himself. That is for sure. So I did want to ask you, what is, like, just kind of a more broad question here, but what is your favorite thing to showcase about this university or about this program when you're asked to make a video?
My favorite thing to showcase overall. I mean, my initial answer to that would actually be what the question is kind of like what needs to be. What's the thing that people need to see? Because that's my thing. My favorite thing to do is to show people what they need to see. And so that can change greatly. It's always fun to record things like the game time atmosphere and stuff like that. Like, just some of the shots and stuff like that, and just kind of capturing the scene as a whole so people can really understand how special like Williams-Brice is on a game day. And especially with those night games, with what it's really become and what it, with what it will become with some of the future plans that are in the works. So, I mean, two-part answer. I mean, like if you said, okay, what's one thing? It's probably the game day atmosphere, just because it's so spectacular. And I mean, that doesn't just happen. Like, that's effort by the fans. That's their time, their effort, their energy, their money, their love shining through for the place. I mean, they're literally jumping up and down, that kind of stuff like that. Like, that doesn't just happen because, oh, they're supposed to. Like, it's because they care about the place. So when it comes down to it, when we talk about showcasing like game day environment and the atmosphere, I mean, really what we're showcasing is the fan base's love for the place and the program. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you saying something last year when I interviewed you about just how special this place is. And with the recent videos you guys have been making about Williams-Brice, it makes it really, really hard not to notice how special this place really is. I loved that video. I believe, I can't remember, I think it was you that took it, of the upper deck shot, just walking into Williams-Brice. That was really, really special. And my family is coming down for a game later this year, and so I sent it to them, and they were all excited. So they are all amped to finally get down here to Williams-Brice. So that's awesome. And so when I interviewed you last year, you talked to me about how not a lot of your pieces that you guys make see the light of day. I'm not sure. Like, I wanted to reiterate that for some of the listeners too, just because it is really cool that only a certain percentage of it sees the light of day. So can you walk me through that a little bit? Like, why is that, and are those videos sometimes more fun to make than the others?
Obviously, it's two parts. One, some of it is we plan around obviously positive outcomes. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't go our way. And so, I mean, the content graveyard's a very real thing. I'll say that. And that's going to be at every school, like all the time. And that's part of the job. You have to plan and get ready for multiple outcomes and ways that you would promote the program when that happens. And then there's obviously the internal team stuff that we make, which is sometimes very simple. Sometimes it's more, more in depth. It kind of varies week to week, depending on what messages the coaches want to give the team pre-game, days before the game, the Monday morning, or I guess technically Tuesday morning, but of a game week and things like that. Like when coach first speaks to the team, all those kind of things. And sometimes it's a graphic, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's, like I say, a video, sometimes it's heavily edited, sometimes it's just a raw clip. I mean, we had one thing where it was a 5-minute in a row clip from a workout in the winter, just to remind the guys, like, hey, like, y'all have put in work, like, y'all have done this, like, look at this, like, you remember this. And it's different. I guess, I don't know if you want to call it rewards, but like the outcome of it's different because it just kind of depends on, who the audience is. And it's fun to be able to feel like we can create stuff that, that helps the team get to where they need to be mentally to do their best physically.
How do you think creative media makes an impact within the program?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I feel like Coach Beamer's almost answered that more times than I even want him to. I feel like he gets asked that more times than I want him to, because he'll immediately give entirely too much credit. Like, and I'm just like, Coach, stop. I'm very thankful that he doesn't just say my name. It's my team, because it really is the team. It's one person could never, ever, ever, ever accomplish like almost really much of anything worthwhile in this field at this point in time. With the way things are, you can't be shooting 5 things at once to get all the angles anymore. It's stuff like that. But I mean, ultimately, I think that I'll say this one thing, and we're cautious about this, and I'm saying it almost out loud right now, almost from an accountability standpoint for myself. Like, as much as we can help a team, we can hurt a team by doing what I call picking low hanging fruit, attacking unnecessarily, focusing on others more than we focus on ourselves. There's a lot of ways that we can do it. It's all stuff that I preach to my team all the time. So as much as we can help a team, we can hurt a team. And so we're very aware and obviously very cautious about that. But when it comes down to helping a team, it's making sure that we're doing things that are going to really make an impact versus doing things that we've either always done because we thought we had to, or other people are doing, so we have to do it too, or it's not the same program as other places. It's not the same things. The teams aren't the same people. They don't have the same needs. It's not the same culture. It's not the same. I'm not saying I'm not even saying one is better than the other. It's just different. And so we have to kind of do that. And so, in my opinion, the places that if you're trying to be everything to everyone, everything that the fans and the outside want, everything that, almost like competing and making stuff because other creative teams are too, you can't do that. You can't be everything to everyone and do it well. I'm going to borrow a line from one of my favorite shows of Parks and Rec. It's like, we want to whole ass one thing is basically like what, is the goal with that. And so we focus on, okay, what's really going to help the team win, versus what we feel like we should do because we either want to do it because other places are doing it, or because we want to be able to do it like for ourselves. Like we want, it's not about the individual members of the team here, and everybody on this team really believes that. The other day, Demo, we made something for the team, and Demo, Derek Moore, came up to me and he's like, "Oh my gosh," he did his Demo voice. "Oh my goodness, you guys are so good at what you did." That's a terrible impression. Please don't ever let him hear that. I can never do justice to his excitement and his enthusiasm level. And I'm a pretty enthusiastic person, and he's just a whole different ball. Amazing. Absolutely. But he was very complimentary, and it kind of made me pause for a second because he said, "Okay, you guys are the best," and it kind of made me pause. And I've often wondered, like, okay, so like if we have a differentiator, like what actually is that differentiator? Because it's not just that we're just like naturally more talented or anything like that. Like, it's not that. It's the first initial thought, and what I've said for a little while, is it's the energy and the enthusiasm with which we do like what we do. And I still believe that. But I've also kind of lately come to realize, like, the people who like on the creative team here really care about this place and really care about winning here. Like, even the people who aren't from here, and a lot of people on the team are graduates, a lot like, who either went somewhere else, came back, or maybe just hired them right out of school. And so that's obvious and apparent. But, even the people who were here for a little while, who weren't from here, really care about this place. And that has more to do with this place than it does anything else. I look up right now because I'm looking at the stadium as I say that. It's got to do with how easy it is when you kind of get here to see how special it really is, and to see how much it means to the state and the people and the city, and the impact that it has on people, the positive impact that it can really, really have on people. And it's easy to fall in love with it and to really care about it. And I think that's something that like is really good about the team. And I'm not saying it's perfect all the time. But I mean, it kind of is in line with what Coach Beamer has said and repeatedly too. And I mean, it goes back to another question you asked me a little while ago about how much does it trickle down? I mean, it really trickles down, but like that was something that like was already here. And sometimes I think that's the part of the reason why it meshed so well right from the start, is because you have a lot of people who genuinely care and love this place. I'm not trying to say this in any way that negates any fan's feeling of anger or disappointment or whatever it might be after a loss. But like, trust me, when we lose, if that happens, when we never, like, the hurt that is it, like internally, like it's tough. It's personal. It's deep and it's personal. And all of us in here, the immediate thought it's not woe is us. It's not, like, it's immediately, what do we have to do to get better? What are we going to do? What are we going to do to get better? And let's do it with a positive outlook and a positive mindset. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of went all over with the answer there, but that was a deep one. But I mean, that's really what it is. And when you have a group of people who genuinely love something and who are willing to kind of give, their all to it as much as they possibly can, then that's when, you have special things happen. And that's what this place is. And that's what this place brings. And we are all fortunate to get to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That answer was unbelievable. So I really I appreciate the tangent. Do not apologize for that again. But sticking with the theme with your team, I did want to ask. I mean, your team started from. I mean, it was just you, and then Austin Kuhn joined on, and so did Andrew Clifford Stewart. I remember talking to those guys for the story I wrote last year. Unbelievable dudes. I had to shout them out because they were awesome to talk to. But talk me through how much does it mean to you to see where your team was and where it is now? And you got to remind me how many people you have or how many interns you have working within the building now too.
So I think right now, we're at 18 interns.
Gotcha.
I mean, from being honest, we could probably have 50 if we really wanted to, but we've kind of found that where we're at's a sweet spot for being able to actually spend the time to help teach as much as possible while having enough people to be able to, not essentially burn them down to the ground, because it's like work. Interns are the lifeblood of how we are able to operate. But it's 9 full-time people and 17, 18 interns. And the number of interns, again, it'll fluctuate here and there, but and I mean, things are going to be, we're restructuring, and we're going to probably try and change stuff here soon too, and kind of keep things evolving, because the way that it works right now is not the way that it's going to work in a year from now. It's you can't keep doing the same thing. If you have success with something, that's great, but the success, you need to look at it and say, okay, the success is because of the effort and the enthusiasm, the energy. It's not necessarily because of the structure, because as the needs change and where you're spending your time changes, you need to adjust the way that things operate. But I mean, it's really neat to be able to see the team grow. But, it has a lot to do with a lot of things, some of which were within my control and some of which weren't. Getting good people in here initially, it was a priority of mine, to try and find people who cared and people who were passionate. And then they set the tone and the culture, and I almost followed it, that they sent people like Austin and Andrew and Micaiah and Joe Busher and Alex Grant. And honestly, my goodness, there's so many people to name. People who, so many former students who've gone on to amazing things and who I call for advice now. Ross Mara, Sidney Miller, all these people. It's I'll call them and ask them advice for things like that. I'll call them and say, hey, we're going to be hiring again soon for this position. Do you guys know anybody? Cullen Ekefee, I just had an hour and a half conversation with him a few days ago, just catching up on stuff and actually asking for his advice on things. And he'll ask me for mine, and I appreciate it. And I'm like, dude, I need to lean on you. And that's really cool. Was a few, here's another tangent on another tangent, but a few months ago, I took a trip out to Colorado and Utah, and ended up meeting up with Justin Law, who worked here formerly, just the most unbelievably talented and hardest working person I've ever met. He used to sit, I remember, I'll never forget, we were going on an away trip on the plane, and I look over and he has this book that's like 6 inches thick, a color correction book that he's in film. It was the most, I couldn't believe, I was like, you're actually reading this book, right? It was everything that is him in a nutshell of his dedication and passion. It was awesome. But I met up with him and then had lunch with him and one of the former interns who just accepted a job with the Colorado Rockies, Ethan Miller. And he was just getting out there now, and he's thriving out there. And it's just so incredible to be able to have that grow and just see this. And it's something that I'm so thankful for. And when I look back as to the why that happened, it wasn't me. It was I kind of happened to be there. And then it was the culture of everybody else that everybody else helped build. I mean, it's it's just, they're the pillars that hold everything up. And so it's just truly humbling, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that was another very, very good answer. So sticking to, I guess, a lighter note, are there any upcoming projects that you can at least tell us about or hint at maybe?
We always have stuff coming down in the pipeline, but we need to see right now, to be honest, right now we're focusing on what this team needs to make sure that we're in the best place possible for the second half of the season. We played the toughest schedule in the country. I mean, and it hasn't been close. And so we got to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to make sure this team is ready to go my team and the football team. And I mean, then there's other sports happening too. You know, we're working on the men's and the women's basketball intro videos currently, things like that. There's always a lot of moving pieces, but there's always content in the pipeline. There's always ideas. There's always things that we can't wait to execute, whether it's in a month or a week, or sometimes there's stuff that's like, okay, 6 months from now, we need to remember this. But yeah, there's always stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Shucks that you couldn't give me any previews. I know it's always fun to, pick your brain about what is coming down the pipeline exactly. But yeah, Justin, I really, really appreciate you joining me today. We're recording this on Thursday, so we both have the bye weekend to kind of kick back, relax a little bit. So do your best, take some time off, and then get ready for the tail end of the season, man. It's going to be a rush.
Awesome, Joe. Hey, I appreciate you having me on. It's good to see you as always, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. And that will do it for this week's episode of The Walkthrough. Hope you guys enjoyed our interview this week. Tune in again next week.